Today's episode is brought to you by Maidenform. Last week, I hosted Maidenform's desktop date night where I joined fashion editors at getting a first look at some of Maidenform's new styles. It's funny because Chris always jokes with me and says that he can tell when I'm wearing really nice shapewear because he says I act different and extra, and it's so true. Like, I don't wear lingerie for him. I really wear it for me, and I think most women do the same. Like, when I feel sexy and I have something nice underneath, I really do enter the room with a whole different vibe. I know that we have all been sitting in the house now for God knows how long, but do yourself a favor and put on some really nice shapewear and a little lipstick and just see how different it makes you feel. So right now I'm wearing Maidenform's low back bodysuit and I'm totally channeling Beyonce. It's really sexy. The back plunges really low, but it's also really comfortable and everything stays in place, which is good because now I'm inspired to do a whole dance routine, and maybe I'll let Chris see that part. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tennesha Wood. I'm back. Oh my God, I really missed you guys. I took a couple weeks off to work on some things that I'm going to talk about today, and I'm super excited about it, really proud of it, and I think you guys will like it too. Before I get into all that, I have to tell you guys about what happened yesterday. So Chris and I, during Corona, have rarely gone out. I mean, we do grocery store, we'll go work out outside. But other than that, like, we really don't go out. And so yesterday, some of our neighbors in our building were like, we're having a little birthday party for our son outside in the backyard. Like, feel free to bring the girls and stop by. And I was super wary because I just don't like being around people. Like, I'm overly cautious about Corona. For the kids, I was like, you know what? They actually do need to be around other kids and interact with people outside of us. So, okay, fine, let's go. So we go, and the entire time, I'm literally looking at people to see if they're sanitizing their hands. I'm looking at people to see how close they're standing together. I'm looking at people like, don't come near me. And I was so paranoid. And when we got done, Chris was like, so did you not like them? And I was like, no, they were really cool. Why would you say that? And he's like, you were just so like standoffish and just like to yourself. And I'm like, oh my God, I think Corona is literally changing my personality. Like, that's not who I usually am in an interaction of new people that I'm trying to get to know. Like, I'm really talkative and actually trying to get to know them and, you know, having a conversation. But I did find myself in my head. Like, I couldn't stop analyzing people and how they were doing things. And, oh my God, am I going to get Corona now? Like, I was like out my mind. And I'm just wondering, like, are you guys feeling that as well? Like a social anxiety? I've never had that, but I have totally been feeling that. And I almost feel like in some ways I'm losing the ability to be able to connect with strangers and just with people in general in the way that I used to. Like, I don't think we realize how much just being in the house and going through a global pandemic really affects our mental health. So I'm just curious to see if you guys are experiencing some of these same social anxieties that I am at the moment. I got several messages from people asking if I was okay because I hadn't really been on Instagram. I hadn't really been social. I've been in the house, head down, working on the Broom List. So the Broom List is the first and only matchmaking firm that is dedicated to pairing successful Black singles. I had been thinking about starting this for years, but what really prompted me to start it right now was conversations I'd been having with clients and also just the general state of Blackness in America. So I was talking to one of my clients who does very well. She is an attorney at a really big law firm. She's super career oriented. And she says to me, maybe there are just no available Black men at the moment. And I knew that just wasn't true because I personally know so many successful Black men that want to be in long-term relationships or want to be married. So then I dug into the census data because I wanted to find out exactly how many eligible Black men there were. And the criteria I used was they were between the ages of 28 to 65, they were employed, they were single, and they had at least a 4-year college degree. And it turns out that there are 495,000 men in that category that fit those criteria. And for women, it's 500,000. So I say all that to say that the person that you're looking for is actually out there. You just don't know them yet and you haven't met them yet. So I really want us to stop this narrative of there's just no good eligible Black men out there. It's just not true. So I created the broom list to find these eligible Black singles and pair them together. The name, the broom list, comes from the tradition of jumping the broom. And I've already got quite a few men on the list, so I am really excited about that. So if you want to apply to the broom list or find out more, go to my website, TeneshaWood.com. To be eligible for the broom list, you need to be 28 or older, have a college degree, be employed or an entrepreneur, and make at least $75K. And I've gotten a couple of people on the younger side that have seen it and asked me why it's 28 and above. Well, the human brain doesn't actually finish developing until your late 20s. And so I want you to be fully developed before you jump into something long-term or a marriage. And I also don't believe anybody should be married before 30. So if you are in your mid-20s, take this time, date a lot of people, figure out exactly who you are and exactly what you like. And then when you turn 28, come on back. The reason that these are requirements is because I believe in dating equally yoked. I believe in dating somebody who matches your drive, who has similar goals, and who wants the same things out of life as you do. At the Broom List, we meticulously vet and screen every member and client. So in addition to meeting the initial requirements, they also go through a round of interviews, which involve a video tour of their home, as well as an interview with a reference. So this could be a close friend or family member. People will tell you about themselves, but they're seeing themselves from one angle. I mean, you're one person, you are living inside yourself. So I think it really helps to have another reference point. Like, you might think you're one way, but what does your best friend or your mom think? And so this really helps us get a view of this person from several different angles. In addition, when we do the home tour, we're really seeing how that person lives, right? So you could tell me you're a clean freak or you believe in keeping things really tidy, and then I look at your house and it's a mess, which isn't necessarily bad, but that does impact the type of person that I might match you with. So the list is currently open to both men and women. So how it works is that you fill out the application on the website, TeneshaWood.com. And then after that, you'll have a call with our dating strategist who's going to speak to you about, your dating history, your relationship goals, what you're looking for, things like that. Then after that, there's an interview with me where I really dive deep to try to understand what type of partner you need. And at that point is when we'll do a home tour and you'll share a reference with me. If you're a fan of this podcast, you know that I ask a lot of questions and I really try to get to know people at their core, and I don't really settle for the surface level stuff. So I do get really deep in these interviews. And then I do a reference call with the reference that you provide. Once you're a client, we'll start sending you vetted matches. So you'll get a photo and then some relevant details about your match. And we'll always do a pre-date call, to prep you for the date. And you don't even have to worry about planning the date. So we plan the entire thing based on your mutual interest with your match. So all you have to do is show up and have a good time. And then we do a lot of feedback and coaching. And I think that is the most important part of the process because it's a rare opportunity to get a perspective on how you're being perceived, because we talk to both parties individually to get a sense of how the date went from each person's view. I believe that providing honest feedback will help you improve overall as a person, not just as, somebody that is looking for a relationship, but oftentimes it's hard to know how we're being perceived. And then after your feedback, if we need to, we will adjust and tweak your matches. Like I said, you can apply at TeneshaWood.com, or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me personally at hi@TeneshaWood.com. My biggest goal in starting the Broom List is to strengthen Black love and foster lasting partnerships, because one date can lead to jumping the broom and a lifetime of love. So please check it out. If you are already happily coupled or married, please do share it with a single friend. So let's get into today's episode, which is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a preview of some of the things I'm going to be doing for season 5. Over the course of quarantine and the last couple months, coaching has really picked up for me. And I realized that a lot of people were struggling with the same things. So I invited some of the listeners and some of my clients to do a coaching session with me on the podcast. So I just want to thank my clients and some of the brave listeners that came on and really sort of bared it all. So today I have Donetta with me, who is 41 and she is divorced. Now, what Donetta is really struggling with is trust. Because of what happened in her marriage and with her ex-husband, she is really having a hard time trusting men. So today we're going to talk about how to trust again after you've been through a traumatic situation that really shakes your trust in yourself and in other people. All right, let's get into the interview. So today we're back with another coaching session, and I have Donetta with me, who is joining us from Atlanta. Hi, Donetta.
Hi.
So how old are you, Donetta? And what's your dating history?
So I am 41. I have been divorced for about 7 years. So I have been dating kind of the same guys, attracting maybe the same types of men. And I just need something better. Obviously, I want to get married and start a family. So I got to fix whatever needs to be fixed so I can get it moving.
So what happened in the marriage?
So what happened in the marriage was infidelity, lies about financial things. So it's finances, infidelity, just constant lying. And I just could not stay in a situation like that.
So after your divorce, obviously you came out of that, with some lessons and some things that you probably didn't want to do again, or some character flaws that you noticed with your ex-husband that you were like, I definitely don't want this type of guy. I don't want to repeat this type of pattern. So when you exited the marriage, what were the things that you realized you didn't want anymore?
Before I even got married, there were red flags. And I think that women, we see the red flags and we're kind of like, well, maybe it's not that bad, or
maybe it's a bird, maybe it's a plane.
Yeah, maybe it's not red. Maybe it's kind of like pinkish. It's not fully red. And maybe that'll change once we're married. So I think from the very beginning, I knew that I should not have married the person that I married, because he didn't just get the way he was overnight. We were in college together, and I had found out he had been communicating with another female, and he tried to kind of play it down. And I was like, oh, okay. So, it was just red flags along the way that I should have just noticed and just not gone through with the marriage at all.
Mm-hmm. So when you did actually get married, on your wedding day, I'm always curious about this. Did you think, okay, this is it, this is the one, or did you have your doubts on that day?
I did not have any doubts. But to be honest with you, this is weird, but I wasn't thinking about him being the one. I was like, I'm getting married. It's my wedding. So it didn't even cross my mind. Is he really the one? I didn't question that. But I did think that I'm getting married, and I didn't get married to get a divorce. But the funny thing is, I didn't say this is the one. This is it. I did not. We got married at 24.
Oh, so you were young.
And we even went through counseling. I don't even think we even knew what we were getting into, even through counseling. I don't even think we were prepared properly for marriage. It was almost like just on the surface of things, but for marriage and to stay married, we were not properly counseled for that.
And I think at 24, it is hard to counsel people in that way because they still need to be counseled into adulthood and how to kind of be for and about and do for themselves before they can even really understand what it takes to keep a partnership together.
Absolutely. Because in your 20s, you don't want the same things that you want in your 30s. Like by the time I was 30, I was like, nah. Whatever I was thinking in my 20s, I don't know what that was, but that ain't it.
So then what changed for you in your 30s?
I think life changed for me. So I lost my father in grad school, and I got a sense of what life is all about, a feeling of wanting to be married and have my family and the kid. I got that picture, and I saw that good picture from grandparents, not parents, but my actual grandparents that I grew up in the household with. So just life happening made me change like my view on things.
Mm-hmm. And then what was your final straw that made you say, we're getting divorced? Like, this is it.
The cheating piece. Like once I found that out, it's like, no, we're not doing that. And you're a liar. This man went to my family and asked for money that I had no idea about.
Oh
He
my
even
gosh.
went to the pastor of the church we went to and got money from him. And I only found this out. I randomly found it out from my family because I saw it in a text message. My mom sent him a text message and was like, "Hey, don't forget the money you owe us." And I'm looking at him like, "What is this?" And he still lied about it. He was like, "I'll just call her." So I called my mom like, "Hey, mom, what is this?" And she's like, "He got money from us." He said, "You knew about it, all this other," and it was 5 figures. What?
Wow.
5 figures from the pastor of the church we went to. I was just having a conversation randomly with the pastor, and he said, "Yeah, and he owes us money." And I'm like, "Who money?" And he told, and it was again 5 figures. It was like 20. I think it was $25,000. 25.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the financial piece. Also, I was getting random text messages from people like I'm gonna sue your husband. And one day I was out shopping in Nordstrom's rack, and this guy comes up to me and was like, "Are you still married to such and such?" And I was like, I totally lied because I was like,
Who?
"No,
No, not me.
no, we're separated and all that stuff." He was like, "Good, because I saw y'all together a few months ago, and the only reason why we didn't get him was because we saw you were with him." I was like, "Okay." So, and then
Get him
around
for what? Like owing the money?
stealing money, yes.
Wow.
And then around that time, I had noticed like messages from women and stuff and emails from where he was sleeping with his staff members because he owned like a mental health company. So I got out.
The irony.
Really? Right? And the way I had to get out was he wanted to move to another area. And I told him, I said, "Sure, we can move. You go to that area, look for places. I'm going to stay where I am. And then when you find something, you let me know, and then I'll come check it out." So he went to that area, called me like I found something. I was like, "You know what? Don't come back. I'm done. You'll get the paper soon." He cursed me out so bad. I hung up on him. And then he cursed me out in text messages. And I was like, "I'm done." And then I moved so he wouldn't know where I was. So I had already planned everything out.
Wow.
We owned a home together. I had even had that set up. I was like, "Let's go ahead and sell the house." He had no idea. I said, "Let's go ahead and sell the house so that won't keep us from moving." That was sold. I had an own
Wow.
little apartment set up and everything.
She was like, I could have this done in a snap.
I didn't want him to try to talk me out of what I knew was the right thing to do. So I strategically planned the getaway and got away.
Did you guys have any conversation after that? Was there any sort of closure?
My closure was bye.
Did you like have counseling, or did you talk to anybody about, everything that was happening?
So I did get counseling. I got counseling for a while, and I still continue to do therapy as well, even now.
After a marriage like that, where you were constantly lied to and ended up never really being sure of anything, like what is the truth? I have no idea. You're doing all these things behind my back. I have to hear it from other people. Like that really breaks your trust, not only in him, but somewhat in yourself, right?
Because I chose him. So that was the problem that I had. Like, I chose him, and where did I miss it? Because I chose this fool. Like, really, girl? Like, were you on something? Because what? Like, you actually chose this person.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like the reason that you chose him was not out of sheer love. It was more so, I think, trying to fit into an ideal. It sounds like you viewed your grandparents' relationship growing up and you thought, I want this. I want this sort of partner. I want this sort of household. This is what marriage should be. And if I get married, I will have this. Not really taking into account that it has to be the right person. You have to mesh and communicate and flow in a certain way together. It was like you almost believe that the sheer act of marriage would create those things.
Absolutely. We were together for 5 years throughout college, and it just seemed like the next step was the marriage, was to get married.
Yep.
And that is like the wrong thing to do.
Right. It's almost like, when you get in your car sometimes and you get to work, you drive and you get to work and you don't even know how you got there. You just know that you woke up, you got in your car and everything was on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes that's how we can get in life. We're like, okay, so I went to college and then I graduated and I found a job. So the next logical exit off the freeway is getting married. So I'm just going to take that exit without consciously even thinking about what that means for me. Is there another exit that's quicker to work? Is this even the job I want to be driving to? It was just all on autopilot.
Absolutely.
So once you start to date, those feelings of distrust of yourself can very much still be present.
And they are.
Yeah, because you're thinking, if I, again, chose this man, is my ability to choose a good person even there? Do I even possess that sort of knowledge and ability? And the truth is, yes, you do. You have those skills. You just chose not to use them. Like you chose to just get off on that exit without thinking about it. And so going back into dating and into your next relationship, you have to be conscious. Like you can't just let things happen. You have to think about, what do I really want? What are my deal breakers? And I think the worst thing that you could do is fall back into the familiar. Because even if you don't like something, we will often go to what is familiar because we know it, even if we don't like it. And what we know is less scary always than what we don't.
Absolutely.
So if I know a liar and a cheater and I can predict those behaviors, yep, he's going to say this. Yep, then he's going to do this. And here it comes. Here comes the lie. Here comes the makeup. Here comes the apology. And it's so predictable. And you know it. You hate it. You absolutely hate every word that comes out of that man's mouth, but you know it. You know the system. You know the way to work, right?
Right.
Whereas when something new comes along and there's different actions behind it. So a man might come to you and he's just being nice. He is just like, you're great. I want to get to know you. Let's do this. Immediately, you start to be suspicious. Like flags start to go off. Well, why are you being so nice? What are you up to? What are you trying to make up for? What did you already lie about that now you're trying to sugarcoat so I don't see? Like, what is this?
Right.
And then you question everything about it. And then in questioning it, obviously you lose it. And so all that ends up coming back to you is that same behavior that you were familiar with. And largely, though you don't like it, it goes unquestioned because you know what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I really think step one for you is just acknowledging what happened and that you were hurt by it. And I mean, I'm really big on journaling and literally writing things down and like putting them out there in the universe. So I want you to literally write down, here is what happened to me. Here is what I feel was my role in it. Right? And then after you've acknowledged it and acknowledge that you were hurt by it, I think that's the part that can be hard because a lot of the times we'll mask hurt with anger. It's easier to say, I am so angry he lied, then he cheated, and he just makes me so mad. Versus, I'm actually hurt. This was a person that I loved, that I gave a good chunk of my life to, and I'm hurt. Like, I'm actually hurt. And I could tell that for you, that's probably hard, only because you feel like you'd been hurt for so long that by the time it actually ended, it might have seemed like I'm over it, because I've been living in it for so long. Like, I'm over it, whatever. I don't even care. Let me get this new apartment and be done with this. Right. But you actually are hurt by it. There's no way not to be hurt by somebody who you devoted all this time to, who you were honest with, who you tried to bring your best self to. And then they treated you like that in return. So there's no way that you're not hurt by it. It might seem like you're not, but you are. Like, that did something to you inside, as it would anybody.
Right.
Do you feel like you've forgiven yourself for your part in it?
I feel like I have, but then when I'm trying to date, or someone's dating me, and then I come up with these things of, can I trust you? Can I trust me? I'm like, have I really forgiven myself if I'm still questioning myself?
It sounds like you still have some work to do in terms of forgiving yourself. And the way that you do that is to acknowledge all the things that you have done right in life and all the good decisions that you have made. Was he a great decision? No, we know that now. But I am sure that there are other things in your life that you've done great. And it sounds like the relationship that you had with your grandparents was one of those relationships that you did really great at. I'm sure there are friendships that you have where you're like, I am a good friend to this person, and this person is a good friend to me.
Yeah.
So your ability to have trust in other relationships means that you have that ability in all relationships.
Okay.
So it's not something that you are just without or void of. It's just you were hurt in a certain type of relationship. So now it's hard to trust yourself getting back into that type of relationship. But here's the good news. When you do get back into a relationship, it won't be that type of relationship. It won't. Right. You're going to make sure from the very start that it's not.
So that's my thing too. Like, you know how you say, like, I'm going hiking, and I don't like snakes. So I don't want to see a snake. So that's all I'm thinking about, is seeing a snake. So when I go in the woods to hike, guess what I'm going to see?
You're going to see a snake.
I'm going to see a snake. So when I'm dating, every antenna is up about your motives. What really, dude, what you got going on? Like, what's up with you? Like, can I trust you? I mean, I trust is earned, and I think that's one of the things I recently learned, that you don't automatically give someone trust. You know, they earn the trust. So
right.
It's like dating. Like, I'm looking for red flags and I find them.
Yep. Let me ask you this. Do you think that there are good men in the world?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've established they exist.
Yes.
So in knowing that they exist, we have to acknowledge that just as we could see snakes, we could also see birds and butterflies.
I have a fear of birds, so we don't want to get...
Okay, we can also see butterflies and what are other animals? Butterflies and kittens. I don't know.
Okay, sounds good.
And so now that we've acknowledged, like, both those things do exist, we now create what we see. They're all there. They are all there. There are butterflies and there are snakes, but we manifest it by like what we think about and what we like put out there to the world. So like you said about hiking, if you think there's snakes, that is all you will see. That is all you will look for. Like, have you ever gotten a new car and you swear that everybody now has that car? Like when I get a new Honda, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Everybody has a Honda Civic. Exactly. And that's all you see, right? Because that's what you're looking for. And that's what you'll attract. Literally think, today I'm going to see a butterfly. Today I'm going to see a butterfly. Today I'm going to see a butterfly. And that's what you'll attract, and that's what you'll see. And that's what you'll get more of once you start seeing that. The universe doesn't hear, I don't want snakes. I don't want this. I don't want that. Like, it literally is just hearing snake, 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 snake. So right. Like, get that out of your mind and out of your vocabulary and start talking about the things that you do want. Like butterflies, butterflies, butterflies. That's what I want.
Okay.
What do you feel like from him was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself?
My worth, that I value myself.
Mhm.
It was just like, I know I deserve better, and you're not about to take me through any foolishness with this. So
Mhm.
let me get out.
You're never going to let yourself get to a place of accepting somebody like him again. Like that was a lesson you learned and that sunk in. So trust that. Trust that you know that. Trust that your instinct and your intuition now sees and knows people like him. Therefore, you know how to spot them and you're not going to let yourself end up with somebody like that again. Because that was a lesson you learned. You learned it the hard way, but it was learned. When you're trying to move forward, an important part of the trust is making sure that you surround yourself with people that you do trust. Because what happens during a relationship that's like very toxic is we tend to separate ourselves from the people that we love and trust. And we're in that toxic relationship with that toxic person. And that sort of becomes our world. And
Mm.
so we start to see the world through the lens of the relationship. And if you're in the lens of the relationship, there is no one to trust. It's
Mm.
just you and him in this toxic flow. And like you forget, literally, like your brain forgets that I can trust people because this is the world you're in now. And so it is really important that you stay connected with people that you could trust, like people that you don't have to question, because you want to train your brain again that I'm not alone in this world. There are people that are out there for me that I can count on, that I can depend on, and that don't lie to me.
Right.
The trust is a muscle, and you're forgetting how to use the trust muscle because you haven't been able to use it in so long.
Mm.
Like you literally had to have your guard up in this relationship. You had to question everything. You couldn't take anything at face value. If he said, I'm going to the store, you couldn't just say, okay, cool, grab me a bag of chips on your way back. You literally had to be like, is he really going to the store?
Right.
What is he really doing at the store if he is going to the store? Whose money is he taking to the store? Like all these things. And that is exhausting.
Right.
Like that is truly an exhausting exercise. So be around people as much as you can that when they tell you something, your brain doesn't have to go through all that. Like you don't have to run mental gymnastics just off something simple.
Wow.
And that's what's going to help to build that trust up. Just practice being around friends and asking for things and just not putting it through a filter and evaluating it and questioning why they're saying it. Because when you're around people that you trust, you don't have to do that.
Right.
Do you feel like you have people in your life right now that you can really trust?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So really lean on those people.
Okay.
So now let's talk about dating a little bit. When you're actually going out there to date, what are you looking for?
So I'm looking for someone that is put together,
When you're saying put together, are you saying from a literal physical sense?
just looking like he is presentable. So I'm also looking like if we're in like a restaurant or like grocery store, I'm watching to see how he may interact with people, just his interaction with folks and stuff. And another thing that I look at, like if I'm dating someone and I'm with them, like we're together on a date or something, and I also look at the fact that like if women walk by, like is he like staring at women or looking at other women while we're together?
I think everything that you're saying and that you want is fair and valid. But I want to encourage you to think less about the other person and more about you, right? So you said, I want somebody that, is put together, somebody that isn't looking at other women when they walk by. And it's what you're saying is all external. That's all them. But reframe that a bit so it's more about you. Like what actually makes you happy? So, what makes you happy isn't, well, I just get so happy when I'm with a man and he's not staring at other women. That makes me happy. What you're really saying is, it makes me happy when I am with a man and he is completely focused on me.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
talk about what you do want, not what you don't want. Focus on that. And when you say, I want a man who is put together, what you're actually saying is, I want a man who cares enough about himself, because that's how I know he will care about me.
Yes.
So with that being said, what is it that you actually want? Like if I said, name the top 3 things that you need in a relationship or from a partner.
Respect, valued, integrity, quality time. Help me out here.
Well, no, what do you want? You have to have a vision for the relationship that you want in order to get it. Oftentimes, we as women will say, well, I don't know why it's so hard. I mean, all I want is, a good man that's respectful. That's not all you want. It's not. Like, I could put 20 men in front of you right now that are good men, that are respectful, and you might tell me 20 of them aren't for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's because you want more, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to say that. It's okay to want more than just the bare minimum. It's okay to want more than a man that just isn't going to cheat. It's okay to say, I want a man that cares so much about me that if he sees that I'm walking funny, he asks if he needs to rub my feet. I want a man who every day calls me and says, I just wanted to make sure you were feeling okay today. Is there anything I could do to make you feel better?
Yes.
It's okay to want these things, and it's okay to put that out there. But when we keep that in and we act like it's something to be shameful about, or we're asking too much, again, the universe is always listening. So we're saying, I don't deserve that. It's too much for me. Like, don't tell yourself those kinds of messages. It's okay to want more and be bold about it. Like, don't say you just want the bare minimum. You don't.
Right.
And you're not the bare minimum, so therefore you don't deserve the bare minimum.
Right.
At a bare minimum, you deserve everything you are and more.
At a bare minimum, exactly.
What are your best qualities? Like, what do you love about you?
So I feel like I have a great personality. I'm fun. I'm just a pleasure to be around, personable. I'm always trying to help people. I always try to look at the best in people. I'm family oriented. I have a relationship with God. I'm beautiful. Yeah, I'm all that in a bag of chips and then extra 1,500 million chips on top of that.
I'll tell you one thing I already know about you. Like, you're a go-getter and you could get things done, because the way you exited that marriage, you were like, it's going to get done. I could get it done in a day. What does Jay-Z say? He say, difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week.
Listen,
We're like, I get it done in a day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I want you to write 2 letters. Okay. Letter 1 is talking about all the things that you are and all the things that you bring to this world and the people that you love. And I want you to be really specific. So when I asked you just now, one of the things you said was, I'm fun, I'm smart, but go deeper than that. Like, what does fun look like? What is your fun? What makes you fun? You are smart. In what way? With what? Like, I want you to really get to know yourself and dissect everything that you are, because once you know that, you're confident bringing that into a relationship without ever demeaning or diminishing it, like being proud of it and being bold about it. And when you recognize that about yourself, then you'll recognize, yeah, I deserve all those things and more. I don't need just the bare minimum. And the second letter you should write is all the things that you want in a partner. Now, and I don't want you to write number one, must have a job. Number two, must be 6 foot and above. Not that. I want you to think about how you want to feel with this person. When you wake up in the morning next to this man that you want, what do you feel like? What does he do for you? Like, how does he look at you? How does he teach you? How does he partner with you? And once you have those things done, like, you'll really start to create the vision of the person that you want. And once you have that vision, then it's in the universe. And then you start seeing that, and you start thinking that, and you start feeling that. So on our last conversation, you had mentioned attracting men that didn't fit that had all sorts of stuff going on. Once you are clear about exactly what you're looking for, those sorts of men won't come into your sphere. Like, you won't attract that. That won't even be around you to choose. Like, I really believe in energy, and the energy that we carry around with us is what people see and feel. And when we're on a positive energy flow, like, that's what comes to us. But when we're like either carrying around the baggage or looking for all the things that we don't want, it's literally like a magnet, and we're just pulling them towards us. So I'm here looking at this man to see if he looks at that other woman, he's going to look at that other woman. Start to do things to trust yourself. Figure out what is amazing and great about you. Figure out what amazing and great things you want in a partner. And when you meet a man, like, don't be afraid to say who you are and what you want. Like, don't be afraid to have that conversation early.
Okay.
But it's okay to say, the dates and interactions that I'm really trying to have are ones that are leading to something long-term. So if that's something you're looking for, great, let's continue to get to know each other. But if not, like, let's not waste each other's time.
I need to be more direct about what it is I want.
Mm-hmm.
And put it, I think that's, like, you're right. That's why I'm just getting a rainbow of folks.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Glad I did this.
Good. Me too. Well, I am looking forward to hearing your progress. Please reach out to me at Tennesha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and let me know what you think of today's show. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.